Dude. 3, 2, 1, boom. And Ivan, we're live, bro. We're live. Listen, we talked about this yesterday briefly. You are not. You think it's the first, not the first. A lot of many relatives that have been kicked out of my house growing up. How was that experience like, dude?
Let me tell you, it was shocking at first. I remember Mikey and I, our other cousin, we went to pick you up. You wanted to come to the beach and hang out. I think,
No, 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 no. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Remember, that was I was 15 years old,
okay.
and I had spent the night with Leo. Remember our cousin
Yeah,
Leo?
okay, yeah.
So I spent the night with him, and we went to the beach, and it was my first time we went to a club, and I believe it was Rebar, bro.
Okay.
I hung out with you guys, and then it was July 4th weekend. It was a July 4th
Right,
weekend, so that
right.
was like a Friday or Sunday. And then Monday, we made the big mistake of going back to back with outings. So we went out, we went, because God forbid you do that while you're on vacation. You go 2 days, 24 hours, that's a lot, but 48 hours, come on.
Insane.
And then you guys came to my
Yeah, bro, I went to your house. I
to
remember. I
drop
got
me
out.
off. It was to drop me off.
Oh, okay. No. I remember some ways. What I remember clearly is walking up to that door, your father opening the door. I'm so excited to see my uncle and to say, Uncle, I love you. How are you? I love spending time with our cousin. I'm going to teach him all the right things, and be like a big brother to you. And all of a sudden, he looks at me and he used to call me Gallego, because I was raised in Spain, in Barcelona. And he goes to me, Gallego, I don't want you around my son. And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, can you want to go a little further in that? You want to give me some reasons here?
Wait, how are those people skills? Those people skills are through the roof, huh?
Oh yeah, I can guarantee you he was not in sales. you know, the guy needed to be in accounting, in a closet by himself, alone. So no. So he told me, oh hey, look, I love you, you're my nephew and all, but I really don't want you around my son. I have a game plan, you know. We got things we need to do. We gotta be up at 6 in the morning. We need to be in bed by 9. We need to be running
Bro,
laps by
let me
9:15.
let me ask you a question, man. Let me ask you a question. My dad had his spots where he was a funny, cool guy, man.
Right.
What do you think prevented him to showing that way more and just being that guy pretty much all the time, man?
It's unfortunately, I think, it's the mental disorder that half of our family has. And obviously, not each person has it, but some do, and some have it in different levels, you know. And and man, that's something that I had to deal with, and battle with my mother, my side of the family, my whole life. And while you were going through your battles with your dad, I was going through my world war with my mother for almost my whole life. So yeah, man, it was rough.
Ivan, you think that was a genetic thing or part of it being that there was 15, I say 15, there's 13, but there's 15 because two died at birth, of being
Right.
of such a large family of 15 kids, man.
No, I think it's genetics. It's genetics because you go down the list and you see certain things, and even within me, as much as I try to make my own path and create my way, I still know that there's certain traits that I carry inside that reminds me of my mother, my uncle. You and I, for example, you and I really, we've seen each other what 5 times in the last 20 years,
Right.
and out of the 5, the coolest thing is that one was in Long Beach, California, one was in Vegas, and then 2 more were in Miami. So, we do find a way to connect, but, I love the fact that I'm here. I'm really excited to catch up. And first and foremost, I really don't know what to call you. So do I gotta tell you
Whatever.
OTG? Do I gotta
No.
tell you?
Whatever the fuck you want, bro. You're in charge. Don't worry.
So I
That's
could
the
go with
least of it.
Aitico. I could
Hey,
go with Aitico.
that'd be the first time it'd be classic. If you hit me with the Ectico, that'd be
Yeah,
perfect, bro. That'd be
Aitico,
perfect.
bro. Dime.
Ivan, for those of us that that don't know, man, you were cousins through your mom, who unfortunately is not around anymore, through your mom, through my dad, who are the youngest of the two, closest in age. I don't know
Right.
how close in age they were, but the youngest of the two. You were born in Spain.
No, I was born in Miami,
So you were
and
born in Miami.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you the journey, and you're gonna have to pay close attention because there's a lot of moving pieces.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to make it simple, I'm gonna do it by grades of school, so
Okay.
you could see the journey and how challenging it would have been for a child growing up. So I was born at Cedars Hospital. At the time, it was Cedars. Now it's University of Miami.
Okay.
1973. So my mom is, as you know, she's Cuban. My dad from Spain. So my pre-K and kindergarten were done in Miami. My first, second, third, and fourth grade were done in Barcelona, Spain, because we moved. Um, because of family issues, they decided that if we came back to Miami, things would be different, instead of addressing the issues and fixing them.
Why talk about the issues? Let's just move back
Right,
to where we
right,
left.
right. Let's put them in a bag and let's travel the issues along everywhere we go.
Ivan,
So,
let me ask you a question, bro. That young man, did you know that there was issues going on, or you were just normal,
oh no,
happy-go-lucky?
absolutely. Funny enough, I was talking to my wife about it. Obviously you share, your experiences, your background,
Right.
and I don't remember my pre-K and kindergarten years. I remember little moments, but from the time that we moved to Spain, first, second, third, and fourth, yeah, from there on, I remember everything. I mean, I'm there. From physical abuse, mental abuse, homelessness. Trying to figure out what your next meal is going to be or where it's going to come from. Yeah, it was challenging, but just so you know the journey, and I'll give it to you briefly from birth to 18. So first, second, third, and fourth in Barcelona, Spain. We came back to Miami, and I was here for fifth grade and half of sixth grade, a year and a half. At that point, my brain trust decided we need to go back to Spain because that's where we had our shit together. So luckily enough, they passed my grade. I don't even know how. So all of a sudden, we went back to Barcelona. I did seventh grade in Spain. Finally, at that moment, they separated. I came back here with my mom. I did eighth and ninth. Then my dad requested me for 1 year, and I went back to Spain for 10th grade. Came back to Miami and did 11th and 12th. So look at
Ivan,
that.
hold on a second. When he requested you, were you like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Like, I'm not doing that, or were you like pumped, or how? What was your vibe?
At that age, when he requested me, I was about 12. And the reason that he did is because my grandfather, his father, he had cancer and he was passing away. So I hadn't seen him since I had left. So he asked me to go to kind of spend the last days with him and comfort him and stuff. So it's my grandfather, so obviously I was gonna go.
And were you cool with your dad back then, or you just whatever?
Yeah, well, remember, when you're young, your dad is your hero. You think that guy's a superstar, you think he's the hardest working guy in the world, and you really don't have an understanding of what life really is. So, yeah, absolutely. I thought my dad was a shit, until eventually I realized, coño, I had it a little wrong. He is shit, not the shit. So yeah, when my parents actually split up officially, I was 12. And then from that moment till the time he passed 2 years ago, I saw him two times.
Two
And
times.
I'm 47, so I'm 30 years almost.
Okay, so let's talk about the first second. So w- I don't like to sit here and just criticize people left and right. I know what my dad did right. I really do. What did your dad do right? Because I've never met him. I never met him in my life. So
Right.
what do you
No, no.
think he did right?
Honestly, I can't. There's nothing that I can validate. The only thing that I can validate for him are the traits that were passed on to me that I've been able to actually benefit from. So unfortunately, I didn't have the type of upbringing that your father sits with you Your dad, for example, he wanted you to be a baseball player, and obviously it got to a point that you hated it, but you did learn a foundation. You did learn how to hit the ball. And that did open avenues that led to where you are today. Like it or not, or how ugly or beautiful the journey was, you got to thank him because you got here.
Right.
For me, the only way that I thank him is through some of the genetics.
Like the
Because I
height, like the eyes.
Yeah, the eyes. There you go. The eyes. He was a big fan of music and all types, and that's something that's my thing. That's my disconnect. I listen to music all day. It helps me create. It clears my mind. It calms me down. So traits like that from him, yes. But unfortunately, I really didn't get any life lessons.
Did you get the height from him?
Yeah, he was about 6'1".
Nice.
I'm 6 flat. Obviously, I'm not as tall as you are. You're about 6'2", right? Six
No,
three.
bro. But listen, to be Cuban and to be 6 feet is a blessing, bro. So you got to take that, dude. You got to take that.
That's true. That's true.
Ivan, your story is very interesting, man, because you were always the the classic, in a weird way, black sheep, if we could
Right.
say, of the family.
Right.
The rebel, the guy who's like, fuck this, I'm just gonna do whatever, whenever. As a teenager, we're what, 5 years apart? How old are you?
I'm 40. When I'm 46 in November, I'll be 47.
So we're 46. Let's do the math. You're 46. I'm 41. Is that five? So we're 5 years apart. It feels like a life apart, but we're only 5 years apart, bro. When you were at that point that you were in the streets, man, because I'm sure you're an angry kid.
Right.
You had stuff going on because there was nobody really stepped in, even though there was a ton of fucking dudes everywhere. Nobody took you under their wing, or they did. Did
No.
Did any of
Absolutely not. Look, the hardest part, as you mentioned, our family was rather large. Had a lot of uncles, had a lot of
Yeah,
aunts.
there wasn't no like dudes not around. Like you could have called. I mean, pick one. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. And unfortunately, no one really truly volunteered. One of our aunts, did here and there step in. The Ida,
Yeah.
she had her own business. She was successful, and she saw the potential in me. And she really, with her words, she would just kind of soothe some of my pain.
What would
Because
she tell you, Ivan? What would she tell you?
No, as you mentioned, I was the black sheep, and the reason that I was not really by my actions at that point, just because of my attitude, mostly because I really didn't want to conform. I was put in a very difficult situation, and there's a lot of things about my upbringing that obviously you don't know. You and I weren't holding hands, through our life, family events, a birthday party here and there, and stuff like
Right,
that.
right, right.
But the actual grind, of the day in, day out, you obviously don't see it. As you mentioned, both of my parents are deceased now. Interesting enough, they hadn't talked in over 30 years. They could not stand each other, and they both died without knowing, 3 weeks apart from each other. I thought that was very interesting, that they had so much animosity towards each other, but that life goes so close to them. I just thought it was a little interesting. But yeah, my mom tried to commit suicide 2 times. My mom was legally disabled at the age of 37. She was bipolar, and it was just her and I. When I was 12, I told you earlier, we moved when my parents got separated from Barcelona to Miami. And that was the day prior, was the day that honestly I became a man. My parents sat me down. They felt that I was pretty mature for 12, and I was, because everything that I had seen, physical abuse, my dad having multiple women, and me being there, him in one room having, sex with a woman, and I'm in the living room playing video games for 2 hours, and I could hear everything that's going on.
Which is crazy, huh? How
And
crazy
my
is that, bro?
and my dad would take, and that was going out on a walk and taking Ivan to the park. And then he would tell me, "Hey, don't tell your mom anything. What are you gonna do?" You know what I'm saying? So I understood what was going on behind the scenes. So I had to really prepare myself every day. I mean, physical violence. I'm talking about full fist fights. My parents getting evicted. I mean, really challenging for a child. But That ultimately just makes it's either going to break you or it's going to make you stronger. You know,
Ivan, while that's happening, what were you telling yourself, man? During those times, were you telling yourself what?
I cried a lot. One thing that I didn't do was blame myself because the instability was so much already that by that point I figured out it's not me. These two haven't figured it out, and I'm just a casualty of war. But
Right.
really, I had to just lock myself in a space, to protect me, my feelings, and the way that I dealt with life. I thought about suicide, but I was too much of a coward to do it because I was 10 years old,
No
but I
way.
would sit in the bathroom crying, shaking while I hear an ass beating going outside. There were times that I would throw myself on top of my mom to protect her because I figured he's not going to hit her because I'm on top. I would throw toys at my dad while the physical violence was, because I figured, okay, maybe I'm gonna break the fight just by screaming, you know? So it was rough, but the most important thing for me was my music because I would put my headphones in my room and just listen to my music and just go away. That was one way I overcome it. And the other way was my imagination. That is, if truly you want to succeed in life, and succeed comes in many different ways. For some people, it might be financially. For some people, it might be emotionally. We all wired differently. Uh, for me, succeeding at the time was just surviving to the next day. And having that imagination and daydreaming and saying, you know what, tomorrow my dad could land the best job in the world, and I could live in a mansion, and I could have, all the toys in the world. That thought process will keep me going. You can call that, lying to yourself, if that's the way you want to perceive it. You could think of it as just being positive, and believing in something and creating a certain mindset, to reach that. Whatever you want to label it, that's what worked for me, you know?
Dude, it's funny because I never the times that my dad was doing that to and it's interesting because you didn't have a sibling, it was just you.
Right.
So I would see my dad beat the shit out of my sister and my mom, and I never once stepped in. And as I think about that now, I go, or recently, few times that I think about that now when I speak to people, I tell them I never stepped in because I was just so happy he wasn't beating the shit out of me. How crazy! It's funny, but how crazy is that? That you're like, thank God it ain't me this time.
Well, see, my dad never hit me. The problem with one of them was that my dad wasn't the person that would initiate the aggression. He would be the one that wouldn't work. He would be the one that would cheat. So when my mother would confront him, at that point, my mom would become aggressive.
Because the fire was already lit. There was a fire already lit.
Exactly. So at that point, that's where the altercations would begin. My mom being bipolar, at that stage, she wasn't diagnosed yet. We just knew there were some issues. So my mom would understandably, angry, hurt, would come a certain way. He would try to defend himself and push her back. And then unfortunately that would escalate, to a full-fledged,
To a whole different level.
you know. And yeah.
Ivan, it's crazy because when you look at people's stories, and let's take your mom's situation, that's happening. You're alone in Spain. It's
Right.
not like you probably have a network of friends that you can go,
Right.
a book club or somebody you could go talk
Right.
to and share stuff, man.
Well, at that
That
point, I never had friends because I was moving back and forth so much that truly was just me, my mother, and my father, and that's it. That was my world. And going to school and coming home. No extracurricular activities. There's no family structure of, hey, let's put them in after school. Let's get them out and about. It was literally school, home, and violence and just issues.
and just it sucks. And it sucks.
Right.
When when did you start? Because you used imagination, man. I had to use imagination. Did you have a TV in your room back then?
No way. No. We had one. It was in the living room, And back then, we had three channels. We're talking about 1979, 1980, 81, 82.
When did you first? At what age did you get a TV in your room?
You froze up. What did you ask me a
Hold on.
question?
At what age? Yeah. At what age did you get a TV in your room?
That was in Miami. I
In
must have
Miami.
been Miami, and not even in my room. I was dirt poor. When my parents split up at 12. Well, that when I mentioned earlier, that was the day that really changed me. My parents sat me down, and they're like, "Listen, you're 12, but really, we understand what we put you through." At that point, I was basically their counselor. And I
Right.
really sat down and I told them, I go, "You guys need to end this. I mean, everybody's losing here. You're losing, I'm losing. This is just not working. So do me a favor, have a conversation, figure out how we're moving forward, and get back to me." So 2 days later, they came back and said, "Listen, we decided your mom is going back to Spain. I mean, to Miami because her family's there. She had her support group, and my dad being from Spain, from Barcelona, he says, I'm staying. So tonight, you're gonna decide what you're gonna do. You can pick where you want to go." And man, all night I was crying, panic attacks, shaking, because you feel that you're really dumping one parent.
Right. Right.
So my relationship was better with my father because it wasn't what a parent-child relationship was. There was no teaching. There was no discipline. There was no foundation. The reason it was better with him because we just hung out. We'll listen to music together. We'll watch American movies. Back then, that was a big deal in Spain. So he was kind of like my friend, you know. But I understood that my mom was the grinder. She was the one working. She was the one teaching me how to read, even though I learned how to read by getting beat, literally, you know, to the point that if I don't say the word correctly, I literally will get a whooping, So going to school wasn't too appealing, the way it was taught to me.
Right.
But the things that a parent needs to do to make their child be successful, my mom did. And understanding that my mom was sick, that's where I said, you know what, I need to go with my mom. I don't think she could make it without me.
Ivan, how difficult was high school for you, bro?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible because I never had a foundation. I went back and forth so much. And if you go to Spain, you got to learn their curriculum. You're learning it in Spanish and you're learning other things that don't apply to the United States. And then vice versa. I'm here, I got to learn in English. I was in ESOL classes for 2 years learning the language. When you're in ESOL, you're really not learning anything else because you're trying to figure out the language. So it was so challenging that you're coming in, into a new environment, and back then, here you came to Miami and the kids were men. Like you're looking at beards, you're looking at kids working out, bumping weights. I came in with Legos, while wanting to just hold hands and dance around, the environment was completely different. It was very difficult.
Socially, right? You've always seemed, since I've known, man, a cool guy, right?
Thank you.
When did you start to get cool socially?
Um, you know, the I would say, well, it depends what environment you would consider as school. So, for example, when I came with my mom, we all knew there were issues. Obviously, the divorce finally happened between my parents. So, my mom agreed to go seek some medical help to see what was going on. She was going through a depression. She wouldn't get out of bed for days. She couldn't hold a job just because she would get anxiety attacks, and she always was able to have jobs and to carry the workload, but the divorce really tore her apart. So we went to see a psychologist, eventually psychiatrist. She got disability, and basically we were living on $800 a month, $600 of disability, and $200 in food stamps. So with that money, you're paying rent. We didn't have a telephone. I actually had to go to a neighbor's house with permission to use the telephone for emergencies, and I just had to figure it out. Literally, I started working at the age of 14.
Where'd you
Um,
work?
well, it wasn't legally. I've always thought outside of the box,
Right.
and I've always had an imagination. So I used to live about a block away from a Winn-Dixie, and going, to the supermarket here and there, and watching the Bad Boys. I didn't see the passion in them while they were pushing those carts. I didn't see them engaging with a customer, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going through so much right now that if I push that cart all the way to the car and I talk to that little old lady, because that was the clientele, that's who you want to hit, either that or the pregnant women that can't carry it themselves. Yeah, that's your market. I
Right.
said, you know what? I think I could make some money. So I literally would hang out outside of the parking lot. And when I would see a target, I would help them. How are you? And I started making great money to the point that one day the manager comes with a police officer, I'm 14, and says, "What are you doing? You're killing my business. My people live off it." And I told him, I go, "Listen, your people suck. I don't see passion, and we need to change things." So that guy goes to me, "Listen," the police officer goes, "Look, what you're doing is actually a crime. You just can't go to random people. And even though you think you're helping them, some people are getting uncomfortable because you don't have a vest on, there's no ID, literally. And at that age, I have a ponytail, spiked hair, it's blonde. I really not the type of kid you want coming up to you. You know, oh,
Ivan, you were Uber before Uber existed.
oh, bro, Uber Eats. Oh yeah, I've done everything because the one thing I had was a work ethic. So the funny part is the cop talks to the general manager one day and says, "Listen, I have a great idea. Why don't you hire him?" So the manager comes up to me and he's like, "Okay, you know what? Do you want to work for me? Fill out the application. I'll give you a job right now." So at 14, I go to him. "Hold on a second. What are you willing to pay me?" He goes, "No, no, the hourly wage here, it's 3.75." I'm like, "Bro, I'm making about 20 bucks a day working my own schedule for myself. Are you crazy? I'll take my business to the Publix down the street." And I left and I moved on to Publix and I continue to go.
Oh my God, man. Dude, high school. Did you graduate high school?
No, 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 no. I was in high school. Again, the back and forth. I ended up getting my GED.
Okay. Once you're there, you get your GED because you didn't probably get it. Your once you get how old were you when you got your GED?
18.
Once you go through that route, you realize that you're different. Like you're not just a
Right. Well,
normal.
I knew that, at the age of 6, 7 years old,
Right,
that my
right, right,
life
right.
is going to be a challenge. Because, eventually you do meet some kids and you do have friends and you look at their life and you're like, oh my goodness, like this kid has it good. Like, for example, parents love me. I was that kid that when I finally met a friend and the parents saw how polite I was, how sweet I was, what I was actively going through, because adults can pick that up when they see a friend come over and the clothes are a little dirty or the kid is hungry or certain. You can pick up when there's issues in the home.
Right.
You know, Parents would adopt me basically. They're like because they will use me as an example for their kid, saying, "Look how good you have it, and look how hard Ivan has it, and look how he behaves." And that was, a little bit of support that I did get, that some parents did step in and help me and open up some opportunities for me.
Ivan, it's funny, man, because as you say that, nobody other than one time a year, because I think it was staged and they didn't have anywhere to go, nobody ever wanted to hang out in my house for obvious reasons.
Right.
You you didn't get treated the right way. You My dad's personality, his sense of humor is funny, but it's always putting you down a little bit.
Well, it's funny at somebody else's expense.
100%. He's always
Right.
going to make you shorter, fatter, balder,
Right.
less. He's always going to take jabs at you, and
Right.
don't take jabs at him. So it's weird. I didn't
Right.
have the best food setting. Like I always had generic stuff.
No,
It
no,
wasn't
wait, wait, listen. Walking into your house, for me at least, having nothing was like going to Walmart. First of all, the Pepsi was kicking. You
Well,
know.
one. Well, there was one 2 liter. Then we're gonna get two. You got one 2 liter.
Oh, and listen. You're gonna love this. I remember the first time I went to your house, and bro, I saw it was a party, so there was Pepsi everywhere for the party.
Oh, winner. But that's the one time though.
Right,
Nochebuena. Listen,
right. The parties, the family parties. And I
I'm
look at your dad. I must have been 10. And bro, again, I'm a 10-year-old, bro. I don't mean it in a bad way. I didn't know it was such a big deal for him.
is that
And
the
I go,
Coke try? You
Uncle,
tried them with Coke?
bro, I tried it with Coke, bro. I wasn't a Pepsi guy. And I go, Uncle, oye, I'm looking around. Do you have a Coke? ¿Para qué fue eso, bro? If you don't want my Pepsi, you get out of my house. This is what keeps the roof up here. No, no.
So he's been kicking you out since you were 12.
Yeah,
Okay, you
no,
don't know
no.
it.
But let
Dude,
me tell you,
tell me.
when my mom passed away, he actually showed up to the funeral, you know, and he spoke to the heart. He took me aside, you know, man to man, and it was actually the first time that he truly opened up, you know, and we had a pretty good moment. You know, it was one of those fatherly moments that knowing your dad, you know, he's got that potential because once in a while he does come out with some good shit that you're like, coño, brother, we need more consistency with that because we know.
Bro, dude, I'm telling you, I would see it at parties till he gets so fucked up that then he'd ruin the party. But I'd
Right.
see him dancing. I see him at certain points, and I'm like, man, you got it, man. You got one of the best stories ever, bro, ever. Because now I think he's borderline 80, I think, or something. He's different. He's grandfather with no grandkids that he talks to, but grandfatherish.
Right.
And people have taken jabs at me because of what I've said about my dad. And then I've come and I said, listen, no matter what he is right now, the truth is the truth. And I use that story to share with so many people of nobody wanted to keep his family closer than my dad. Nobody wanted for me to be as successful in life as my dad.
Right.
Nobody wanted to sit down with a house paid off and abajo la mata mame and be able to tell stories now with his grandkids and everything than my dad. But he fucked that up because he put himself first on everything. He put the fact that he was paying for shelter, paying for food, that put it above winning you over, making you feel special, alive, and all stuff. And I would see that just like you saw it in that funeral, in your mom's funeral, and go, man, this guy, what a shame that out of 365 days a year, he shows 2 days to be that guy. And then the rest of the days is that guy. I used to have what you had with friends. I felt that because of my baseball talent, people wanted their kids close to me because they like some of it would have rubbed off to them. Like, oh, hang out with Ectico so you get that. But I'd always imagined, I used to see shows like Boy Meets World
Right.
and stuff like that. And I would see the kids' rooms and I would hallucinate and dream about having a room in an American family. It was maybe because I was Cuban and that whole thing. Did you have any of that or
Bro,
no?
are you kidding me, bro? But for me, remember, I'm a little bit older than you. So for me, it was more like growing pains, you know, the Cosby Show. You know, you're looking at TV, you're looking at your friends, and you're looking at everybody's life, and you're saying, man, you know, I want that. How am I gonna get that? You know, and what I was going through with my mom, you know, I had to dress myself to go to school. I had to go on public bus to go to school. My mom didn't drive, didn't have a car, you
Buddy,
know.
I was taking that public bus till senior year, buddy. That
Okay.
yellow thing all over town. So
Oh no. Wait, hold on. No. When I'm talking about public, I'm talking about the
the
street
pub.
bus, not the
Okay,
school bus. The
so you would
street
take the
bus.
street bus.
Yeah. I would take the street bus. I would do groceries for myself. And back then, you're a kid. Image matters. You know, financial status does matter. We're talking high school, 15, 16, 17. Man, you don't know, you know, how hard it is to go to a grocery store. And back then, you're on food stamps. It's not like being on food stamps today. Okay, you
Yeah, because
gotta
you got a card, right?
Bro, I would back then. You gotta take out that booklet and
Wait,
that paper money.
that must have looked like, was it like, remember, like a, I don't know if it's Chuck E. Cheese or Castle Park, or when you used to play, get the things to buy, the things like that? Was it like that?
No, 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 bro. There were coupon books, and then it was like a little pamphlet, and then all money came in different categories. You got your 20s, your 10s, your 5, your ones. So you literally make a line. Everybody's looking at you, and you're there ripping these coupons, and everybody's looking like, oh my god, look at this little kid, and just that embarrassment that literally is like, at least for me, I feel like people are screaming, whoever's poor, raise your hands, and I'm the first one there, like me. So
Right, 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 right.
it was hard, but it just makes it that much better that if you work hard and you're positive, and you believe in yourself, that things will change, guaranteed. It's 100% proof.
100% proof. Now, when did you start getting? I had no idea of any of this stuff, by the way.
I
So,
know you and I don't. We haven't gotten deep in it.
no, but it wasn't like it was ever said to me, like an example.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
look at your cousins there with food stamps and with this is not because how I looked at it was my thing was different. When did you? I then reconnected with you. If I'm not mistaken, Long Beach, and I think that's when, in my eyes, you became a responsible dude when you moved to Long Beach.
Right.
Fill the gap for me. So between Long Beach and you get your GED and Long Beach,
Right.
what was your life? Because you worked in a nightclub for a little bit, no?
Right. So
So
what I did was, to take a little step right before, because it'll make some sense. Being 16, 17, at that age, you're like, okay, I'm not going to have a high school degree. I'm not going to be going to college. I have no car. I have no options. I got to take care of my mother, take her to medical appointments. I literally would go to her doctors with her, to her psychologist, psychiatrist. I would get feedback. That's how they would decide how much to prescribe as far as medication. I would have to make sure she was taking it, and
right.
really handle the whole roller coaster that it is to really become the parent when you're the child. So from all of that, you get resentment, you get anger, you realize that, okay, I don't have anything and it's not fair. It's not right. And that's where you start to overcompensate and you start taking shortcuts and you're saying, you know what? I'm going to get there no matter what I have to do. And unfortunately, you make dumb decisions. And they're dumb because they're out of necessity, because you just don't know any better. And you just want to have what everybody has. So that was the point that I started doing, my little street hustle. If there's a way that I could invest 1,000 and then flip it and then make an extra 2 or 3 grand, you kind of work that route. And I did that for a couple of years until one of my best friends unfortunately got killed. His name was Lazaro. I got a call from his sister, an hour after it happened, and literally got murdered in his house off a deal that went wrong. And I was 18, 19 at that moment. And I said, this is a lesson to learn. I got to change my life. We got to, yeah.
Did you have any close calls at all?
Um, yeah, a couple, a couple. Luckily, I have absolutely no criminal record or anything like that. But I've been through the process once or twice when I was underage. I knew that if I ever was gonna take a gamble, it was gonna be before I turned 18. Because obviously I know that was gonna stick. So I said I got a 2 or 3 year window to make some money and let's see what we could do with it.
An attack. An attack. Okay.
But after
So
a close call, that's when 18, 19, I said, okay, now life is about learning, understanding what you've learned,
yes.
and apply it to your next venture. So at that point, I was a businessman. I knew how to look for the product. I knew how to make a profit and what my market was going to be. So I said, that sounds to me like a salesperson. That's what they're doing. So let me try to be a salesperson. And I started applying, looking for work, and I started selling actually copiers. back in 1990, maybe 93, 94. And that was my true first exposure into a profession, a career, and really how to develop everything that I've learned into a setting that is going to be financially rewarding and really looked up to as a career move.
When did you move to California?
Within that window there of 8 years, probably that transpired, I was really learning my craft, understanding my skill set, sharpening my tools. I worked at clubs. I did the modeling thing for a little bit, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like the chase. I didn't like, the grind that it takes, and the way that you're judged, because that industry, obviously, that people are looking at you constantly, and there's certain expectations. And with all of the insecurities that I had growing up, because of everything that I lacked and I didn't have, I couldn't deal with being judged as a career move at that time. So that was basically my second journey, really, in life, of shaping a career for myself, a life. I had to figure out where was life going to take me. So during those 8 years, I was working, I was selling, I was growing myself professionally.
And you were here in Miami.
Yeah, I was here in Miami.
Take me to the move to California. How was that?
So at some point, right before I left to California, financially, I was making my money, but I really felt that I wasn't happy, as happy as I could be. For the moment, I was okay, and I could have used the crutch and the excuse of, I had it so hard that right now I have a one-bedroom apartment, I have a nice house, I have a savings account. Wow, I'm living the life,
Right.
the dream, like our parents used to tell us. Work for the same company for 50 years and you nailed it. You beat life, And at some point, I'm like, you know what? No, bro, it actually doesn't work like that. At
It
least
just
not for
sucks.
everybody. Not for everybody, And I said, I want more, and let me see what else I can do. So I really, I've done this a couple of times. There's no better feeling than really understanding who you are as a person. And the only way you can do that is take off all your clothes when you're by yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and take half an hour to talk to yourself. Because there's nothing there but you and your voice. At some point, you're going to realize that you're by yourself and you have all of the tools necessary to succeed. If you really work, if you dedicate yourself, your insecurities, we're all insecure when we're naked. All of us. Brad Pitt, I could guarantee you, is looking and saying, you know what? I had a six-pack yesterday and today I only got 4. And he's going through his own battle in his own mind of where he doesn't look like he needs to. If you do that yourself, you're going to break yourself down to the point that after that, you're going to construct a new foundation of confidence. And I told myself, I'm moving to a new state. I have no friends. I don't know anyone. And you know what? I'm going to have a new career. I'm going to reinvent myself. And I basically read a book for 48 hours. I spoke with a good friend of mine that was an industry leader in his field. And I told him, teach me how to be you in 48 hours because I'm going to take over this industry. And luckily, it went pretty well. Within 6 months of the company that I got hired by, I was number 1 in the West Coast out of a team of 9 sales reps. And I had a career there for about 3 years until I decided, okay, I need to start working for myself now. And that's when I started opening different companies and really focusing on myself, my businesses, my growth, my development, and investing in myself, not in the company that's cutting me a check for 50, 60, 70, 80 grand. When ultimately, anytime you're cutting me a check, you're letting me know that you're not really valuing what I do. Because if you did, that cut that you're taking from my profits, you would actually reinvest it in me, but you're keeping it for yourself. So at that point, I'm losing that negotiation and that relationship with my employer. So I believe in myself enough that I'm taking these talents, on the road back to South Beach. You know,
So listen, you said something there that I love, man. I say this all the time. I've been so fortunate to move to new places twice,
right,
change my whole life, change everything, because when you move to a new place, you get to reinvent yourself all over again. It's
right,
a little difficult now, especially if you live on the internet, because that previous life is going to carry you over
right, right.
100%. But still, you get that opportunity. Was it hard to leave California to come back to Miami, or was that awesome for you?
Well, well, I came back once we had the crash, the market crash back in 2009. I'm like, okay, things are changing, everything's evolving, and anytime that there's a crisis, if it's in the market, within yourself, there's two ways to look at it. Are we going to focus on the crisis, or are we going to focus on the solution?
Right.
um, because there's always opportunity. So I said, you know what? If I go back to Miami now with what I've applied, what I've learned, and what I've developed, I think that I can take my career to the next level. And that's when I made my move back in 2009. And since then, I'm lucky enough to have two companies at the moment. I have a third one for the beginning of next year that's going to launch. But right now, I have my consulting firm and I have a technology company as well. We focus on computer vision, artificial intelligence, object recognition. So yeah, man, I'm excited. Everything's well. I'm happily married. I have a great stepson. So all the hard work, the dedication, the grind, the tears, the sweat, the reject, like all that negativity, that fueled you and make you just work even harder, it just gets validated at some point where you don't report to anyone. You report to yourself. You report to your wife, obviously. we, we all report to that one. But when you're able to create that life for yourself, there's no better feeling than that. Truly.
I know. Amen. I hear that, bro. Let me ask you a question. How did you deal with hair loss, bro? Because you used to have a great set of hair, man.
Oh yeah.
What age did you start to
Listen,
notice your hair going? What
This,
did you
this,
do about it?
this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna text you at some point one of my pictures that I have from my modeling days with the long hair. So your people can see that this was
We're gonna
legit.
post it. We're gonna put
Oh
it
yeah,
on. We're gonna put it.
I will do some throwback Thursday. And oh yeah, I was rocking tremenda melena. But let me tell you, that evolved. I mean, it started with spikes and a blonde tail, right? That was dipped in blonde. That
Right.
was the first. Then we said, okay, no, we need to grow. The phase changed. Now we gotta let this grow into a teja. So then it became the teja. And then after that teja, that's when we decided we're going grunge. That's when Pearl Jam was in style, and rock. And then I let it go all the way down. So I had the long hair probably for about 6, 7 years. And then I noticed that I started thinning,
Where did
and
you notice the thinning?
in the back of the head,
Right.
the back, the top, the crown area.
The crown
And
area.
and at that point, I'm like, you know what? I kind of felt like I started looking a little bit like Michael Bolton. No offense to Michael if he's listening, but that Michael Bolton look didn't look right. So I went to my hairstylist. I'm like, okay, let's go short. Let's cut it. Make me look good. Do your magic. He cut my hair, and when they do the little spin of the chair, and they
Ooh, that spin, man.
bro, I looked at myself and I said, it was a pleasure. I shook his hand and I told him, I will never see you again. I went home. I took out a bottle of tequila. I started taking shots. I took off the razor and I never went back, brother. And it's
How
been,
old were you?
I was 29. 29.
Bro, if I tell you my story, man, I wish I would have done that, bro. I did. I started to notice my hair loss at 19 years old, probably.
Oh,
And
wow. That's young.
not me, barbers would tell me. And we're talking about Cuban barbers here in Miami. I remember I was in school in North Carolina. I would come down for the winters playing baseball up there 1 year, and the barber goes, "Oye, tienes que cuidarte aquí que estás empezando a perder el pelo aquí arriba," and it started to go. I'm like, "Oh my
No, no,
god!"
and also the way that they tell you, bro, it's not even polite or nice. It's like calling you out and working on those insecurities that you
And
already have.
and you already have, and you got to understand that our hair as men, forget about as Latin men, because that's a whole different ballgame, but our hair is something that we value. So when you're starting to lose it young, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then because of my acting thing, because
Right,
of my modeling thing, I'll never forget this. You always start rocking a hat and you're always starting to figure out. And then we're
right.
tall. So unless you do the mirror thing in the back or something, you really don't know how bad your crown is.
Correct,
Because,
correct.
your mirror is the only world you see.
Yeah, yeah, you
So,
think you're rocking it, bro. You think
so
estás acabando, estoy entero.
you're on point. And then I don't know if you had it, I had a heavy widow's peak. So my entradas started to come in heavy. And then I'll never forget this, bro. Through my contacts, I meet a guy who is somebody here in Miami, some talent manager, I don't know, whatever. And he goes to me in Spanish because I was telling everybody, I became obsessed with going to Hollywood. I'm going to go to Los Angeles, I'm going to act. And he goes, okay, let me look at your hair. Let me take off your hat. And bro, you know how it is. When you have jet black hair, when it's on a hat, it's humid here in Miami and it's sweaty
Right,
and the hairs stick together, bro. When
right.
I took off my hat and that guy looked at my hair and he goes, but bro, you're bald. You're bald. He me mató. He killed me, bro. He's like, what the fuck is this?
No, no, no. And
Ivan,
remember back in the days, not only the barbers, I mean, you're visiting family and family you're walking through the door, oye, está flaco, tú no comes. Or like, bro, they start taking all these shots at you, bro. Listen,
we,
when you started telling me, oh, hey, Ivan, you used to be the black sheep, what happened? Bro, what happened is, bro, I rebelled and I got pissed off. And I would walk into the aunt's house, and she'll come in, oh, Ivan, how are you? You're looking skinny. What's going on? And I would look at her and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're looking fat and short and you've never been married. Yeah, everybody's getting one back. It is what it is. I'm taking shots, bro. And it got to the point that they would look at me as a problem. And I'm like, bro, what are you guys doing? And you're raised in this environment that they really didn't mean it to tear you down. They were just never raised to
they,
build you up. There's
so
two
here,
ways to do it. I'm either going to build you down and mold you into what I want, but you're going to be crushed throughout, or I'm going to just give you positivity, reinforcement, and we're going to build you in a gentle, warm, beautiful way. I
that's how
think
that's how I got it.
that's how this generation are working now. They're positive because we taught them that. I'm sure with your kids it's like that. You're positive. You can do it. If you ran 20, tomorrow you can run 30. The way we were raised is today you can't even do 10. You're a bum. How are you going to do 20 tomorrow? You're a loser. You know. So that's hard on a kid, man. It's hard.
Super hard. And see, to me, I I think subconsciously, bro, I was born with this just extreme positivity because I never had anything. So I learned that nobody wanted to hang out with me because I was a weird oxymoron even back then because I was a good looking dude. I had tremenda pinta. I'm tall. My clothes were completely whack. Everybody who kind of knew me knew of my baseball skills, but they just knew the atrociousness that I was dealing with my dad.
Right.
So they were kind of like, I had a mixture of why would I feel bad for this guy? Look, this guy looks like he has everything. At the same time, oh my God, this poor kid, well, what is he going through? So I
Right.
learned that the only way I would ever have friends or people would hang out with me would be that if I would just talk everybody up.
Right.
And I really built that until I got to Los Angeles. Then Los Angeles for me was very different because I got thrown in to such an elite level of society that then my identity issues really kicked in, and I never got to rock a ponytail young. I never got to rock una teja.
Right,
My
right.
dad, I never
Your
got
hair
to
has
put
to be short. You have to
flat
look
top.
a certain. Bro, I would go into a party, a family get together, and you looked the way you were supposed to look back then. Your hair had to be cut to a certain length. There was no way you could have an earring on. Imagine tattoos. And I'm coming in, with jackets, with tejas. I got earrings. I got a tattoo. So no,
A
no,
lot
you
of swag back then, buddy. A lot of swag.
I tried. It wasn't called swag back then. It had a different name. but listen, I do gotta give you some props because again, you and I, we don't talk every day. We really don't. You
Right.
got your shit going on. I got my shit. I've had a conversation with your wife literally one time for 2 minutes.
Right, right.
So it's not like all the love in the world is there, but it's life and everybody's hustling and doing their shit. I am extremely, extremely proud of all of your hard work and your dedication. When I look at your life, I know that it was rough, but everybody compares everyone else to their life. So in my world, in my vision, mine was a bit harder than yours in some ways, and you could have got complacent because you were taught how to work hard. You were taught how to work for one company. And that actually would have led you to have what you had growing up, which was a nice home. You were near a good school. You got the opportunities where you could have settled, you know, and you went completely against the grain, I'll steal some credit because at the end of the day, it's human nature. And I said, I hope that maybe once or twice he saw certain things from me because I was a bit older. And he said, my cousin is, out and about and having a good time and living life and doing shit his way. I could do it too, And without having to, you made your life difficult. You struggled. I don't know if you remember or not, but when I moved to California, which I'll take credit again, you got the after I did.
Even though I didn't know. Even though I
I
didn't
know.
know it.
Again, it's my story, and I'll live with it. I'll play it however I want to.
Hey, I support it. Go for it, dude.
No, but the beautiful thing is, I get a text message, right? And it's you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm here. I'm home." And you're like, "I'll be there in an hour." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if you know, buddy, but I'm living in Long Beach, California." He's like, "Tranquilo, I'm in LA. I just moved." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy." And just understanding that, when you got to my house and we were, chopping it up and shit, and you're telling me, "Oh yeah, I gotta go," I'm like, "Oh yeah, where are you staying at?" You're like, "Staying. I'm living in my car." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you can stay in my house." And you actually refused and refused because the passion that I saw in you was, if I sleep in your house, it wouldn't be fair to the process. And I'm gonna cheat the system. I need to sleep in my car. I need to rough it because those are gonna be memories and that's gonna be fuel that's gonna feed the fire that is gonna make my story that much better, you know? And man, not once did you ask me for $1. Not once did you need me for anything. Everything that you've accomplished has been completely on your own. So I could not be more proud of you, bro.
No, well, that's tremendo. Wait till I clip that, bro. I'm gonna clip that and use it on Instagram. That's gonna be an awesome clip, man. I can't thank you enough. You don't know, I don't. You see stuff. I had, bro. It's. We've been talking here for an hour, and we talk about stuff, and because you rarely talk to somebody, there's things of like, and it all makes sense. And I tell this to people now. It makes sense why a lot of people hate family, why a lot of people get stuck with the Cuban guilt, because it's like, okay, we're gonna go to a gathering. What are you gonna talk about? What you're up to? And there was no way you were gonna be happy about anything. So those things to you must have been torture because like, what am I going to talk about? I got nothing to bring to the table positive. I got nothing to be this guy. So everybody's going to treat me a certain way. They don't, there's no people skills in this family. So it's like a complete disaster. To give you the credit, man, and we're at some point you became, at, to me from the outside in, you became a guy that was so unstructured to completely structured, bro.
Correct.
Like literally, you're the kind of guy that if I call you at 5 o'clock, you're like, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be there, da, 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 you know. And I think that deserves a lot of credit because it's not easy to live in a structured world either, while being your own boss and while being stuff like that, man. Ivan, people that deal with failure, man, how has failure helped you? How do you look at that?
I think that failure is necessary. It really is because it's the only thing that is going to make you grow, and it's going to make you learn and push harder. You know, and the beautiful thing, and coming from a sales background, every no gets you closer to that yes. So you have to go through that process. You know, one thing that really frustrates me, about people, and obviously not everyone, but the ones that always have an excuse. There's always a reason why I didn't get the job, or why I don't have the girl of my dreams, and why everything happens to me. You know, if those people would invest that energy of why, and say, let me use this energy, let me put it into waking up. If I usually get up at 7, I'm going to start getting up at 5. And if I go to sleep at 9, I'm going to start going to sleep at 11. So I'm going to give myself 4 more hours a day. And in those 4 hours, if being closer to your family is what fulfills you, you got 4 extra hours a day to spend with your wife, with your children, to go to the park, to read a book, to really invest in those things that matter to you. If you do that, your life is going to change. If business is what drives you now because you're in that moment that you need to grow your company, your brand, whatever matters to you, now you have an extra 4 hours to hit the books, to create content, to go out there and look for opportunities. So to me, man, every day that you wake up, it's another opportunity you have. I'm up at 6 in the morning, ready to go, ready to work. Not that, I'm up at 6 in the morning and I just got up. No. I'm up at 5 a.m. and by 5:59, I'm locked into my computer and I'm ready to go. And my day ends typically 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, Monday through Sunday. Monday through Sunday. But now, whenever I want to be off, I'm off. Whenever I want to take a vacation, I take a vacation, because there has to be work-life balance at the end of the day. But it should be created by me and my work ethic and my family and my structure. And that's the beautiful thing, that failure is what leads you to create that life for you that ultimately works and brings you all those joys, that you've been fighting so hard for.
That's a great answer, man. Ivan, at what age did you get married this time?
I
You
got
married once or
married.
twice?
This is my second time. So I've been married now. I've been with my wife for 6 years, but we've been married for 2 years. And
And you
no, go
started
ahead.
dating her at what age?
Bueno, at 40 years old, 40, 41.
So I got married at 37, man. It's something that I think in today's generation, it's talked upon to take your time and stuff like that.
Right.
Talk about to have a successful relationship wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, whether it's because it's listen, if you're not into it, it's hard anywhere. People
Right.
say, and I've lived in the 3 hardest places probably to have a good relationship:
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
Miami, Las Vegas,
Right.
and Los Angeles. And
Right.
I've only been married in Miami, but I travel the country now and the world, and I see that stuff, man. To you, what does it take to be in a successful marriage, bro?
It's it's work, and that's what people don't understand. Uh, Again, a lot of people try to cut corners, and you just can't in life. You gotta work hard at everything that matters to you, you know? And when it comes to a relationship, it's actually the hardest work you can do because when you're working on business and you're working on your business relationships, there's only specific times in a day where you're working that business relationship.
Right.
But when you're married, when you're in a relationship, you're working a business relationship with your partner because you're paying bills together. There's expectations. You're living an emotional relationship with that person. So everything is in one box, and it makes it difficult. So you got to understand there's ups, you got to understand there's downs, and the key, truly, like every relationship, in my opinion, is communication. You always have to be yourself. You got to be comfortable in your skin. You got to talk about those uncomfortable moments and conversations that need to be had. At the end of the day, your wife knows exactly what you're thinking. I don't care how cool you think you are. I don't care how slick you think you are. Whatever bullshit you're trying to tell your wife, she knows you're full of shit. So if we know that's a fact, then now how can we react to beat that? Honesty. Just be yourself. And if you say it a certain way and you explain how you feel and what you're going through, now as a team, you're going to work together and you're going to figure it out. And again, it's hard. It's extremely hard. But if there's love and there's dedication and work ethic, it's a beautiful thing.
That's a good way to describe it, man. Have you always have had a good self value of yourself of who you are, Ivan, or did
Um,
that come more as an adult? How did
no,
you do that?
just trials and tribulations. It was so difficult, and I was always extremely insecure. Always, just not having nice clothes. You don't have money in your pocket. You're being evicted. I can tell you that within a 5-year window of my life, I probably lived in about 15 different homes. So what type of confidence do you think you're going to have at that age? There's nothing to be confident about, you know. Um, but through that and those challenges, as you mature and you look around and you see your friends or just people that they start telling you their problems and they start breaking down and they're telling you how difficult their life is, and you're looking back and saying, "Oh my God, that's your problem? That's really what's breaking you?" Then you realize how strong you actually are. And that strength that you have, once you're able to vocalize it and express yourself, that's the freedom that you get. That you're able to tell that person, listen, don't talk to me. You can share how difficult it is maybe not paying rent this month because you can't afford it. Let me tell you that I've been evicted 7 times in my life at the age of 12 and 13. And when you're able to express yourself and let out those inner demons, it's therapy. It just, as it comes out, you get stronger and stronger to the point that your truth is what empowers you and lets you continue to grow and develop to the point that you're just able to fly. You know?
I love that, dude. 2 more questions, bro. Let's talk tattoos real quick.
Got it.
Are you done getting more, or are you thinking
Well,
about where are you at with that?
I got my one sleeve here. Then I have my other sleeve here.
Right.
I got what else? I got some neck tattoos. So next we're going now for the chest plate. I got one, but yeah, no, we're going. We're riding with it.
You gonna do what, chest and back, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm gonna do chest. I'm gonna do back. Yeah. We're gonna get creative. And there's a reason for it. To be honest with you.
Really?
Oh no, there's a method to the madness.
You want to share? You want to share the reasoning, or is it top
Oh,
secret?
absolutely.
Let's
The
go.
method to the madness, and it'll go back to your dad. Again, he was a trendsetter. He was a motivator. And I got my first tattoo when I was 17.
The scorpion?
My scorpion. I'm a Scorpio.
Ah, did you think I knew that, bro? Come on.
I like that. There you go. Like now people know this is legit.
Wait,
So
I think Scorpion, hold on, with either some Chinese letters or a date
yeah,
somewhere, no?
yeah, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. So I rock it, you know. I'm 17. I got the look, bro. I'm tearing it up in my mind. I walk into your dad's house, and the first thing that I get, there comes a gang member. There comes the loser. There comes the guy that walked in and said, "Hello, I will amount to nothing. How are you today?" You know? So it got to a point that I enjoy tattoos, you know, that I kind of like it. But I realized corporate America at some point is going to have some issues with the tattoos continuing to grow and continue to go through my body. So I said, let me make it harder on myself because I want to make sure I do not go back to corporate America. You know, I'm going to continue to grow myself, my brand, you know, what I've developed at my pace and at my style. And you know, continue to tattoo and be creative. I love it. It puts more pressure. You know, it makes it more harder, at least in my mind, and it just makes me work. You know, much more on my craft.
I love that. I love that. I got a big deal in the works. If I sign that, I'm gonna get I'm gonna do something in my hands. You ever thought of doing the hands or
I'm
no?
doing that. Next time you see me, I already got the drawing. So yeah,
Yeah.
hands next year.
I don't know about the fingers though. I don't know too much about the
No,
fingers.
I don't like the fingers either. I'll
I'm
stick
gonna
with the. We
yeah,
gotta
I'm
let
gonna
it breathe.
do
You gotta let it breathe a little bit.
yeah, I'm gonna do even though the wife says look, she likes that it cuts off here, I'm gonna do some
Right.
writing there. And then I'm thinking of something to put here, not super big, but a little something to put
Right.
there, you know. There, listen, I tell this to people all the time, man. There's nothing like being working for yourself, being successful, and having tattoos.
Right. I get it. No, no, I get it.
The
I get it.
formula is the success part, you know.
I
Because
get it.
if you're not if you got tattoos, then it goes completely the other way. You know, it's
Right, right,
like
right.
this dude's got problems, but
Yeah, listen, I've told you before, you know, and when we talked briefly, I told you, oh, hey, I'm gonna wing, we're gonna wing it out there. We're gonna be honest. It is what it is. You know, I have the original playbook. You know, you're a younger generation. You looked at the OG and you said, there's some things I like and there's some things I don't like. We need to refine that and I need to make it my own. And I love it. And you definitely have done that. You know, you have gone your direction and your path and you've been extremely successful and you will continue to grow and develop that. And I can't wait to watch it and be a part of it. And from my end, I've been doing exactly the same thing in more of a corporate environment per se, you know? And I love it, man. I love your success. I couldn't be happier for you, your family. I'm calling you out publicly, saying that I've never been to your house. I actually haven't even met your children. They don't know I exist. That
I
I'm
love it. Give it to me. Give it to me.
so
Give
at
it to
some
me.
point it'll be nice to actually get an invitation. I'm giving you a pass for the last 4 months because we are under Corona. So you got a free pass. Pero homie, before that, stop money.
Well, here we go. Here's my thing. I and I own up to all that. It's because my wife is pregnant now. She's due now with the boy anytime soon.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is I don't I don't think I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think of any of that stuff. And it's I'm so gun ho in what I'm doing that I don't think about anybody visiting. Nobody comes to visit me here. I don't talk to anybody. I see my mom. Now here's the irony of life. What would you give to have your mom back?
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Ivan, I see my mom once every 3 months, once every whatever. I haven't spoken to my dad in probably maybe 2 years now.
Really?
And and I can't be happier. Why? Because now I've always said it, and people ask me this, and I've always said, if I've spoken to my sister in 4 years,
Wow.
if once people start dying, because it's part of life, am I gonna have regret? Like, man, I wish I would have spent more time with my mom or whatever. You gotta understand, me and you grew up very differently. My whole because of my dad structured the world around my baseball. So the amount of attention that was on my baseball was insane. We're talking about the pressure, the house vibe depended on my baseball. So when my mom would videotape the games by force, who wants to sit there and videotape with an old school camera by held by hand your son's at bats and stuff like that in the Miami Heat? When your sister, older sister, is forced to score keep your little brother's games on the weekends, that's not what she wanted to do. And then my dad's peacocking his skills through me of like, soy caballo, mira lo que yo, look at what I produce here. I
Right.
finally got one on the board. Look at
Right.
this. So I view life very different. And now as a man, I think my relationship with my dad as an adult got messed up because of him. Because I understand nobody, I think, and I'll say this forever, I have such a good temperature of dealing with people because I was dealing with an animal my whole life. So I knew when my dad was about to, I was always like, I was always attentive on other people because I was always attentive and watching him. Like I'm like, okay, is he gonna fuck me up right now? Is he gonna fuck somebody else right now? Are we gonna get kicked out of here right now? Is he about
Right.
to go off the deep end? I was
Right.
always like, so my
For my mother being bipolar, it was exactly the same thing. It's basically having a fuse that's lit. And when
exactly, bro. So we are, you put us in a room and we're perfect because there's zero attention on us. Everything's on everything else because we're always like we're very present, you know?
right,
And my best friend's my wife. I talk to people. I don't talk to anybody unless it's content driven because listen, where me and you differ is you right now on paper are extremely way more successful than I am. I'm a complete nobody. So every single day that I wake up, if I don't sit here and produce content over and over and edit it and put it out there, nobody cares about me. Nobody knows who I am. It's nothing. I don't have a company of anything. I have endorsements of stuff and I have that, but I got that because of the grind that I'm in. And I've chosen to live a very lonely life internally because my success to me has been the number one thing that is valued because I'm already happy. I'm already a natural happy guy. So I don't need happiness. Now I need success. So I don't take 0 days off, bro. That's the only reason. It's not because it's like, oh, a personal thing or I don't invite this guy or whatever. No.
right,
Once I get to a place where I know, and forget about making it because then I'll never be fully fulfilled. But once I get to a place where I know that okay, I'm this now, then I'll have to make a lot of changes. But for now, the only person that takes me out of that from point A to point B of my brain that I do is my wife, because she's like, listen, enough is enough. I married you. I got married in 2016, I think. We went out to dinner maybe 5 times that whole year. Zero vacation. 2018, zero vacation. You get that if you need to get it.
no, tranquilo, tranquilo.
2018, zero vacation. 2019, maybe one now or two or a little more. So I've just been so extremely focused, man, because I'm so far from where I have to be. But once the baby's born, because now once I have a son, though, is different
Right,
because I am going to implement. I think my dad did a lot of things awesome. I'm going to implement the time we spent together. I think it was so healthy for me and him to spend a lot of time together. The problem was he made it depressing because we never did anything I liked. It was everything on his watch. We ate what he wanted to eat. We went where we did visitas of everybody's house that I had to get stuck there and I couldn't leave or anything.
right,
But this is what I promise you, bro. Once my son's born, that training of new era of I don't care if this dude hits a baseball. I don't care if this dude goes to school. I don't care if this guy's a comedian. I don't care whatever he is. Only thing I pray that he carries two things of me. Hopefully my height. And then number two, my positivity. If this dude can just be positive and not be a hater and learn to reward everybody around him,
You have to add one more,
which one?
which is determination. That work ethic that you do have, because that has to be constant. You know, and but I'm gonna psychoanalyze you real quick.
Let's do
Remember,
it. Now it's getting fun.
and I'm a little bit older, and I see things and I notice things.
Go for it.
The same way that drive that you have is what truly sets you apart. You know, if it, this is one thing that I think that we do share. That you and I right now, if we were hired at Walmart, and our job was to be greeters, and we don't know each other, and you're in one door and I'm in the other, we're gonna battle, brother, because you're not gonna be the best greeter in that entrance.
Right.
Without knowing, you and I are battled every morning. We're hugging people. We're taking pictures with babies. We're making that Walmart entrance, our own at the end of the day. But this is the part where it cuts both ways. That same way that you've grinded all your life and you're focused and you're on your mission, that's the same focus that your father used to have too. And remember that through that focus, it's needed, absolutely, but you're also alienating certain people. And there's been certain key moments in your life where I or somebody else that would have loved to be there weren't there. And you can't get those moments back. Now, we're never negative here. We're always positive. So the beautiful thing about life is that what happens this moment moving forward, you can make it completely different. And you weren't there for 20 years, but now you're going to be here for 40. And that's the energy and the fuel and what keeps you going. So just make sure that you got to be on your journey. Don't forget to let people on the bus, because some do want to get there.
That's it. And I never think of other people, man, because it's just so, I think of other people in the giving and stuff like that, but I don't look at it that way, only because I'm so there, bro, to get where I gotta get. And it's the highest of the highs, bro. And it's me always on the attack, but we're gonna take your advice, man. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
We're gonna definitely we'll keep you posted. I'm gonna keep you in the loop on some things. You know what I've learned from doing this with you today, man? That you can literally, I know you don't like it, but you can do something like this. You can talk on camera. And I know one of the gifts that I have is I make this easier because I'm me and it's us and it's different, but you have the language, you have the sound, you have the authenticity, you have the story that you can do the Ivan show, an example. And yes, it's going to be on whatever the fuck you want to talk about. I'm stuck on talking because what I like to talk about is, like you said, my dad prepared me for everything. My dad prepared me for everything, bro, except to deal with him. Think about that. Prepare me for everything to deal with him. So my show is about relationships, beards, hair, tattoos, music, happiness, failure. That's what I want to talk about. But maybe you want to talk about the Dolphins because that's your thing. You could have, and business. The beauty of this is,
don't associate me, please, to that Dolphins franchise. I abandoned them many years ago. I realized that
you should have stuck with them. If you were a real fan, you should have stuck with them.
You know what? I actually applied business to it. I realized that it wasn't a good emotional investment to be a Dolphin fan. So
100%.
I had to walk away from it, bro, and it's been great ever since.
Oh, I get it. It's a trap that you fall into. But I think you should do something like this, man. I think you, with what you have, what you know, and what you're doing right now, you could be that guy. You could be that guy. It's like, not only am I the owner, but I'm a customer too.
Listen, if you want, we could do it like Dan Levitard, and I'll be your Bobby. I, I'm as old as his father is to you probably by now. So put me in a corner there, and when you want me to throw a zinger your way, I'm ready.
Zinger your way. Dale, bro. Oye, man, you crushed this, dude. Thank you so much, my man.
Oh yeah, great seeing you, brother. Talk to you
Love you,
soon.
dude.
Dale,
Oye, we'll be in touch. Okay.
dale. Love
Bye.
you.
Bye.